what happened election night when Obama came up missing for a little bit after he got inaugurated? He was missing. You know what he was doing? He was signing executive orders. They already had them ready. Rahm Emanuel and all the cabinet, they had him. He went in there and signed them real fast. Then he went back out and partied again. And part of all those regulations were all kind of crazy stuff. I was up watching a lot of stuff that was going on, watching the changes on whitehouse.gov. And I kept telling my wife, here goes another one, here goes another one, here goes another one, here goes another one. Romney can do the exact same thing. And as a matter of fact, I read a piece today that he's already got his team in place. They're already writing counter orders. Good. And they're going to pass them at midnight, 12:01, just like Obama did when he went into office. He can't overturn Obamacare with an executive order, but Congress can. And it's going to be up to us to keep the pressure on Congress to do that.
I just wanted to say, too, I was looking on the internet the other night, finding things. There is 44 pages of trips and vacations and for families, and 44 pages using the jet and stuff, and that ought to make people mad.
Yeah. But see, they don't know that, and that's one of the things we have to keep putting. Man, anybody that watches me on Facebook and Twitter, I keep saying it. Keep it going. I'll put what my goal was at one time was to put something about them and this administration once a day on my Twitter and on my Facebook. One thing a day. That wasn't enough, so I had to up it to 2 or 3. So now I'm putting 10 or 15. And after a while, people see it because it keeps crowding up their pages. And then I get responses back, wow, I didn't know that. And I put stuff on there. $1.7 billion just for the Obama's vacation. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Just think of the poor that could be fed and some of the things that could happen to the national debt with that 1.7. That's not counting the Secret Service agents, the fuel, the Hummers and the Humvees they got to put on those, the support, flying the C-130s and the C-5As, and just think about that. All of that continue to spend, it's hidden, and then they QE3'd it to write it off. Everybody knows what that did. That was a false prop-up of our economy. And sometime it's got to come crashing back down. And Bernanke only did that to keep his job. But hopefully, Romney will keep his promise. He said that he's going to fire him on day one. And he better, because we have to hold him accountable and make sure he does. He said day one. Let's make sure he does it on day one.
Back to the executive order thing. I don't know if people know it, but in 3 3/4 years, Barack Obama has signed 923 executive orders. George Bush signed 63 in 8 years, and that's too many.
Yep.
Okay, hang on. We got somebody here.
Not necessarily a question, but we all understand that once we have elected Mr. Romney and defeated Mr. Obama, that we need to be vigilant and hold to task both the executive and the legislative branches of the country's government. But I have a problem with a U.S. media that is un-American. I have a big problem with that. And they sold us a bill of goods in Mr. Obama. And we need to keep that in mind and find a way to leverage these people out of control of our media. That's my opinion, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. But we're seeing that happen, though, because the newspapers are going out of business in droves, like the Washington Post and people like that, the liberal newspapers. ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, they're losing viewers. They're losing money. They're scraping. MSNBC, they're almost non-existent. They don't even have a base that watch them. They're just out there making noise simply because they can make it. But they get the media, like you're right, like you said, they get the coverage and we don't. You can have 1.5 million people march on Washington, D.C. under the guise of the Tea Party. The media won't even cover it. 6 people can go downtown Fort Wayne, put up a tent, poop on the sidewalk, and it's covered in every paper from Gary, Indiana to Evansville. That's right. It doesn't make any sense. So, what do? We boycott the newspapers that are doing it. We don't buy them. We don't read them. We don't watch their stations. They got you covered. They know what you're doing. The little black boxes that you got in your house, they tell them who's watching what. Stop watching them. Don't even surf by them. Go the other way.
Amen.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up fairly quickly so that we can get everybody home and Mr. McClendon home. Is there one final question here that you're just busting to say? Okay, one more.
I have an answer about the newspaper. I have had the privilege of going to the Huntington Tea Party. I'm not a member, but I had to go. And I was interviewed by a young lady who attempted to get me to say something that she could put on the news. Mm-hmm. Later, I took her aside and I said, let me explain, young lady, you are covered in the Constitution. If your words can bring the Constitution down, you will be the first dead. You will be the first victims of a tyranny. And I think if each one of us who knows someone who's in the media has the kindness of heart to explain that, especially to the younger ones, I think that that can make an impact. Because I don't think sometimes people realize how important their words are.
Yeah, very good observation, because the thing that has happened, the media doesn't report the news anymore. They try to make the news. And you can't blame some of these young kids that are in the media now for what's happening. They've been brainwashed. Our educators have dumbed down our kids. Of course, we've allowed it because we didn't follow them through school. And everything that they learn now is based on the Saul Alinsky principles, socialist, progressive, communist principles, and we haven't paid any attention. And all they have to do is be aware of what's going on, like you enlightened that young lady. Tell them what their constitutional responsibility is as a member of the media, and you'd be surprised. They didn't know, because we've been taught a certain way, not to report the news, but to report my opinion.
Right.
That's the difference between the media of today and the media of yesterday. And the people in this room that are older, you know the difference, because you read the papers from the 50s and the 60s and a little bit of the 70s compared to what they are now. It's no longer reporting what you saw, heard, smelled, or whatever. It's now my perception of this is what they write. I want to say one thing. Thank you for having me here. We're all in this together. It is my honor and my privilege to be here, and you can count on me anytime. Call me. You know, I'm here to work with you, for you. We're here together. Together is the only way we can save this nation. All of us as Americans. And what we win for ourselves, we also win for the progressives and the liberals. They don't know and will not know what they have missed unless they miss it and lose it. But we, as Americans who love our country, who know what the Constitution stands for, know what freedom really means and is, will not let that happen, because we know the consequences. Thank you.
Let's give him a hand.